Okay. So Deanne, you said that you had mentioned you still need to add the KW invoice. So we could do that on the call if you'd like together, if that would
Yeah,
help you.
I was gonna ask you, I was just looking at, because I made a copy of the spreadsheet, so, but it's in my Google Docs. I'm wondering if how I share it to you. Right
Yep.
now, it just says me.
Yep. Okay.
Oh,
So
if
I'm going
I
to show you where to go. Okay.
okay,
So we'll start with mine and just kind of introduce everyone. And
okay,
then while we're working through it, if you see this button right up here in my top corner, share.
yep.
If you could
Oh,
share that
yes,
with
okay.
me and Scott, you could share it with both of us, that would be great.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we're gonna just start with some basics. And if you just, we're gonna look at this column right here. And all of this, you guys, is out of the budget model. So in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, there are 4 models at Keller Williams and straight out of this book. So this is a great book to start with. First is the economic model. So the economic model takes us from what is our income goal that we want to net, and then it backs into, okay, well, what does that mean in terms of what we need to gross? And then it takes us all the way down to the number of units we need to sell, the number of agreements we need to sign, and appointments we need to go on. So it's really gets us into the nitty-gritty of our goal. Then we enter that into the lead gen model goal. And the lead gen model is, okay, what are the activities and strategies we're going to take that will result in us getting leads and then therefore closings. So we've got the economic, the lead gen model, and the next two are the budget model and the organizational model. The budget model really happens to is all around finances that we're going to talk about. And the organizational model is um, what is the vision for the people on our team? What role will they fit and when would we need to hire them? So the budget model is, I'm just going to show you, you'll see all these tabs down at the bottom of your spreadsheet. But here is the reference of like a great 1 page of the budget model. And the left-hand column here is really what we focus on in the budget model. It's your gross commission income. So let's say I sold a $100,000 home at 3%. That would be $3,000, right? That would be the GCI. So whatever the total commission is that is cut to Keller Williams before you pay your cap, any referral fees to the company. So not your net check that gets deposited into your account, but the total gross. Then the next is your COS, which is cost of sale. That would be the company dollar. That would be any expense related only when you have a sale, right? So what are some expenses, you guys, that we only have when you close a transaction?
The sign.
Okay, do you have to pay for the sign whether or not the home closes or not?
Well, yeah, that's right. So it would be commission.
Yeah, so yep, it's a lot of times they're related to commission related charges. So what is an example of a commission related charge?
Royalty,
Exactly. Yep, the royalty we pay up to $3,000 to KWRI. How about another one?
transaction management fee, if you use a transaction manager.
Yep. And that one's like a sticky one where a lot of times we'll put it under cost of sale if we only have to pay for it at the closing. And eventually we might move it down if they become a salaried employee, for sure. Anything else cost of sale that you guys can think of?
And my cheat sheet.
Awesome. And this one sheet, by the way, is in your spreadsheet. I can send it to you if you'd like. It's not in the book, not in this book. But another cost of sale would be a referral fee. Let's say Maggie referred me a buyer and I close on it and I pay her a 25% referral fee. That's a cost of sale to me. It's income to Maggie, but a cost of sale for me. So your market center cap, your royalty, any referral fees. I have a showing assistant, so that would be a cost of sale to me. If you're running a
Mhm.
team and you have a listing coordinator, I'm sorry, a listing agent, a buyer agent, and you pay them, that would be a cost of sale. So once we have your gross commission income and then we subtract any cost of sale, that's what we refer to as gross profit. Then we subtract any expenses. This is where signs are going to come in, salaries, lead gen expenses. That's where everything's going to be dumped here under 9 categories, and we'll go through those. And that's left with what you net. And the whole point of this class is we want to make sure that we're not just basing your business off of what you gross, but what you net. So when we talk about profit goals, Keller Williams has come up with some benchmarks based on your production. So for example, if we had if we had an agent whose goal was right around 600,000, we'd probably use this column. And we'd want them to have about a 30% profit margin. So net income is the same as profit. And so that's what this spreadsheet is going to help us understand is how are you spending in relationship to this model? And you'll note that it's a model, so it doesn't have to be concrete, hard and fast rules, but it's a good standard of practice. There's someone on the advanced call who spends very little by design, and so her profit is much higher. And so her expense margin isn't necessarily going to follow this model, and that's okay if she's intentionally doing it that way. And then when we talked about expenses, just so you guys know, there's two categories that have a handful of categories within them, like compensation, lead gen. We separate that between listing management and general prospecting and management, and marketing rather. And then there's occupancy, that would be like your desk fee, if you're paying rent, education and coaching, supplies, communication and tech, automobile, equipment and furnishings, and insurance. So all of this is going to be in your spreadsheet that we'll get to you. And actually, I'm going to put that link in the chat really quick so you guys can follow along on your computers if that helps. Sec. The only thing you'll need to do is create a copy of it. So everyone will want their own copy so that you're not it won't let you edit anything if you don't create a copy. And real quick, I'm just going to show you for you guys who are brand new to the spreadsheet is you'll see all these tabs along the bottom. Start here at the video series. And it literally has, Scott made these 4 or 5 minute videos for each step. That will save you a lot of time and it'll make sure you you enter this correctly. So just literally start here and it'll walk you through step by step. Okay, so that's the basis of the spreadsheet. Deanne, would you be willing to let us walk through yours?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't have everything in there, but I have the common stuff. What I've been doing then is writing down, okay, I have other monthly expenses that I haven't put in there yet.
Okay.
Like my phone and my internet and the KW Marketplace, those are monthly charges. What I used to do on my other spreadsheet is just take it at the year end and put it in there. But then I'm missing what I'm actually spending each month. So
Okay.
now I'll break it down.
Okay, so let's walk through this and so what we'll do is when you have, so Deanne, this is yours, copy of Deanne.
Yep.
Okay, great. So we're gonna just start. I see 1 or 2 things I want to make sure we understand. What was your GCI goal this year?
Oh yeah, did I change that? I don't know that I changed anything on there.
Yeah, it says $1 million in GCI, so we just want to
Yeah,
make sure.
no. I don't know. I have to look at my paperwork to see what I did. But so I need to do that.
Yep. So the first thing,
Okay.
once you watch the videos, and here's like literally there's a click here's video one, click to watch. One of the things we'll want to just do is understand what is this GCI goal. What that will do is start to say, okay, well, then you need to earn X number per month and to understand if we're on track or not. And
Okay,
then you do have, and then you'll see months tracked right here, 4. That's great. You put that in, so it's going to divide all of your totals by 4 for an average. So, Deanne, even if it was just a guess, what was like approximately, what was your GCI goal? Or maybe you have a
um,
volume goal and we can work off of that.
say that again, maybe what?
Or if you had a volume, if you know your volume goal, we can try to work.
Yeah, I wanted to do 125. Wait, was that, no, that was mine. 125,000 for my
Okay.
commission.
Okay, so was it gross commission, and was that your net or before KW cap and your expenses? Before? Perfect.
Before.
Okay, so what we did is we just took her GCI goal and edited it there. And you'll see, we just type in yellow cells. We don't, everything else will be dumped in. So far with Deanne, I'm seeing it looks like you had no closings in January, February, but you did in March and nothing for April. Is that on track?
Correct. I have one this Monday and then one on the first week in June.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna, one of the things that's great about this spreadsheet is we can start to see, okay, what will go into these boxes and start planning. So let's then look at one of the first things that I do when I fill out this form is I download all my transactions from my bank account. So, and I put them in a CSV file and then I can literally copy and paste. So, Deanne, if we started with your expenses, here are your expenses. It looks like for May, you had, here's that KW invoice.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
awesome.
my husband works with me, so he's my assistant, but he's licensed and insured. So my fees are a little bit, some of them are double there.
Got it, because you've got 2 invoices.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
But they're
Um,
both on the same one, actually.
okay, got it. So it looks like you've got a Canva invoice here. And so it's communication and tech, website URL and design. You could definitely put that there. You could also put it under lead gen and marketing. Just know that sometimes there's like an art and a science to how you categorize things. Just know like that consistency is key then. If this is how you put it here, then continue doing that month after month.
And what about the GMAR tickets for the home show? I was thinking lead generation, but then I didn't know what subcategory to put it under.
Yeah, so are you, what is your intended use for the for these tickets?
Um, for branding, promotional branding,
And who are they going to?
some of my current clients and some new prospects.
Okay. So what you could do is, so biggest thing for you guys who are new is all of these are drop-down menus based on the budget model reference. So if you see, we were just looking at communication and tech, we were looking at lead generation expenses. And so when you go to expense, so all of this dumps into what we call a chart of accounts. And you don't have to touch this one at all unless you're adding extra categories, and Scott can help you with that. But you'll see, we're going to go to expenses, and you see anything regarding lead gen. There's, you would select first the main category of lead gen, and then there's a bunch of subcategories under it. So what Deanne is saying is, how do I decide what these tickets, what subcategory will I use? And so far she did branding, which isn't, there's no right or wrong, right? It's just what do we think about it? But one thing that it might be is it's definitely lead gen. So this is definitely the right bucket for it to go into. And maybe it's something where I see branding, trinkets, promotional items as if like for example, like my neighbor gave me this Yeti for his roofing company, right? That's a branded promotional item trinket. It's kind of like branded to you, so it's not a gift, but it's like a promo item. It brands you. I see these tickets as more of a lead gen lever for you. So the lead gen method or the lead gen bucket is divided up into two things, either your listing management, right? What are we spending on our current listings? That would be signs, it would be lock boxes, listing photography. And then our lead gen is what are we doing to get business, our business development expenses. So Deanne, we could create like a lead gen lever and we could edit this category. I could help you with that offline, but it could be, sphere of influence, whatever that might be, like giving value, thank you gifts. Um, it could be, it's not
Hmm.
necessarily a referral gift. I see that as, hey, someone gave me a referral, I'm sending them a gift card or something like that. So, you could also, well, that's listing cost. So I'm thinking it would probably be under one of these lead gen levers that you would edit. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. The nice thing is you got it in the right bucket, right? These are just the nuances that you start to figure out as you invest in lead gen levers. So then let's go over to your GCI from March. So what you'll see is then you could add the closing date or the date it got deposited into your account. So it looks like your GCI was from this purchase price, from this Arbor Drive, was just under $9,000. That was the gross commission income.
Hmm.
And you guys will see that we can separate this into, okay, it's residential income. And then there's a drop down. And you can see that under the 410, it's either, I'm just going to take this out for a second. If you just do 4-1, it will give you three options. And by the way, I picked this 4-1 because that's the number that starts that category. So you would choose between, is it a listing income, a buyer income, or a lease income? And then you would hit, so she was listing. There's also outside referral income. So if you earned a referral that someone paid you, you could label it that. If you had a commercial deal or if you had a broker admin commission, that's like, hey, I charged $5.95 on my listings or on my buyer agencies. And so you would label it as that. Now, Deanne, this is a listing. Did you charge a broker admin commission?
Not for this one.
Okay. But you probably had to pay it, right? Since you didn't charge it.
Right.
Okay. So if Deanne had charged it, we would separate that from the gross commission income because we'd want to label it as, hey, this is what she earned from the listing and this was a broker admin. So if she had, we would do, okay, broker admin commission. And then we would drop down to say, was it a seller or a buyer BAC? And then we would add, 290 or 295 or whatever it was, or 595, whatever she did. I'm going to fix this for you so I don't mess you up. Back to residential. So then you would simply log anything from your income and you can find those in your opportunities. So for example, I was just doing mine before our call and this was one of my closings. So this was a buyer sale, but so I could find the gross commission income. And then if I had any E&O, royalty, any cost of sales, they would be listed here. So we're going to go back to Deanne's and we're going to go then to cost of sale. So you'll see that off of her chart, off of her DA or her opportunity, she paid towards market center cap about $2,600. So that's labeled there. She then paid the BAC because we know that when we don't charge it, we are still responsible for it. And then she paid the royalty towards the KWRI. Any questions on Deanne's cost of sale from this listing? Okay.
I will say that it takes, for anyone doing this new, it took me a little bit to just get everything down in that area. So,
The biggest,
yeah, Steph's really patient on re-explaining. So don't be afraid to ask once you do it for yourself.
yeah,
I just asked the question in terms of when, because what you shared with us has 2024 in the tabs. If
Oh,
we
yeah.
change the names of the tabs, will the formulas update automatically?
Let me make sure. Once
Oh, yeah, I
again,
did have the 2024 and I just copied it.
did you just change it?
Because
Let me
yeah,
just make
usually if
sure.
you change, because a lot of the formulas will connect to a tab, and if you change the name of the tab, it should update. But
Yeah, great catch. Here, let me go into the folder that Scott shared with me. I might have the wrong one. Do, 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 do. 2025. Blank. You know what? It still says 2024, but I believe you can change. I think you should be able to change it, but I will ask Scott. Let me do this. I'm gonna ask Scott. I'll send him a quick note and then I'll make sure I email it to you guys.
okay.
The right one. Let me just get your emails.
Good catch.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so when we think about this spreadsheet, one of the easiest things, because I just started using this as well. I had been using QuickBooks for years, so this was new to me too. And the beauty is that you are on the front half of the year. So if you do go back and enter January, February, March, April, it'll be much less data than if you had joined us in November, right? It's going to be a little bit easier to get started. One of the things that helped me the most was simply going into my bank account. And does everyone here have separate bank accounts for personal and business?
Yes.
Okay, not yet, Maggie. Okay, that would be like the number one thing that I could tell you would make your life 1,000% easier. It just keeps everything separate from an organizational standpoint. B, you really understand what your business is earning and spending when it's not commingled. And we don't actually accidentally spend your business money on groceries or your personal money on, office dues, so to speak. So it really separates it. Even if you're not leaving a ton in the beginning right there, we can then pull in and move it to your personal account when needed. But that's going to be a huge thing for you. It doesn't have to be a formal business banking account. It can truly just be a separate personal account. But then just make sure that the market center is depositing any checks into that account and pulling any invoices from that account. So you want to keep a little bit of income in there so that you can pay for those things, at least. So the reason I say that is because when you look at, this is mine, I'll show you. When you look at expenses, truly what I did to get started is I literally just downloaded a CSV file and then I'll show you this CSV file. I took this CSV file, right? You can see it. And all I did was I copied the date. So I went like this, Command C to copy it. And then I went over to my spreadsheet and I went into my expenses and I went like this. Easy breezy, right? And then I went back to that same spreadsheet or the CSV file. I took the number, I copied it all and oops. And I know you can go like this to copy, but I didn't want this amount to mess me up. So I just kind of dragged. I hit Control V or C rather. I went back to my spreadsheet, like the budget model spreadsheet, and I put them in this right column at the beginning. And then as I do it, I move it over here. Okay, to this column where you'll see everything else is into the amount. That just helps me remember what have I addressed and what haven't I addressed. And then I go back to my CSV file that I downloaded from my bank account and I take all the descriptions all the way down, copy, and then I paste. Okay, so now
So
everything's in order.
so I'm looking at the file that that I downloaded. there's a lot of formulas in these cells, right? And it's
Yep,
very easy to you do one thing and it messes the whole thing up.
yep.
So when that happens, who do we call?
Me and Scott.
Okay. Okay.
Scott knows this spreadsheet in and out, and I'm slightly behind him. And yet what I say is email both of us because one of us will help you. And that way you can get help faster than if you started with me and I was like on appointments all day and then, got home later. So you can always
Okay.
email both of us with
Hmm,
questions. And you guys have done that. Julia does it. Like it's completely fine. Like that's what we're
okay.
here for. And definitely share a copy of your spreadsheet with us because then maybe we go in and look at it in the back end and fix anything if needed.
I'm gonna call Deanne.
Yep.
As you can see, I don't have all that in yet.
Yeah. So copy and paste is your friend. That way you're not sitting there and data entry. That's a pain. The one thing I will say to your point, Ahmad, is what you can't do is so for instance, then what Scott told me this and his his like attention is rubbing off on me, like perfectionism. I change everything to the same font. He centers it and he centers it like vertically and it looks prettier that way. Then what I do is I take any income and I can tell it's income because it's not minused here, right? All of these minuses are charges, like things that I've spent. But I take this income, I copy it. But what you don't want to do is copy the row. And this is exactly why you bring up a good point. If I copied this row, which is income, but I copied it from expenses, and then I dumped it into income, it's going to mess up these buckets, these drop downs. Okay, so if you're bringing stuff over like the method I do, just make sure you just copy those two columns and then hit whatever you need to hit, like paste, so that you're not messing this up. And then I got to go back and do the date. Okay, but that will prevent you from some headaches because I learned this the wrong way, like the hard way.
And I think I was just messing around with this. Let's say if you want to copy a number, but it's a formula, right?
Mhm.
When you can still copy it. I'm messing around with it here, but when you do a paste, I believe I don't think it's paste P or is it the values? Yes, the values. I think you do a paste back. It'll give you a bunch of different paste buttons. I think if you
Sure.
paste the values, it'll just give you the number and not the formula.
Okay. And there shouldn't be much where you're copying and pasting with formulas. Really, that's
Okay.
all.
I hope
It's just
not.
gonna be
Yeah.
drop down and stuff. So here's the reason we do this, right? Like Kathleen, did you have any questions about yours or did you want to go through yours at all?
I don't have any specific questions. I always try to just soak everything in. So,
Sure.
um, only if you need me to.
Well, let me just see if I have yours. Okay,
Yeah.
don't. Okay.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
It's actually, yeah, it's not in this folder that Scott created. Let me just see.
I did share it with you guys. So,
Okay, it just might have gotten into the wrong folder. So, as we're just, okay, so we'll just kind of work off of mine. So let's go here. So basically what we've done is, we started with our expenses and dropped all this stuff in. Then once I do that, I move the number over. Now you'll see, like, okay, here's an Amazon thing. When I put it here on this amount number, it's got to be a positive. If I spent the money, it's got to be positive. So you take it from 120 minus 128.27 and you just put 128.27, like a positive number, not a negative number. And then I just delete that, right? And I assign these things. And I've already done it, so I'll just show you all. Oh, by the way, see how I messed up? I deleted all these drop downs. Just hit undo, Command Z, and it pops it back up. So I'm just cleaning this up so I don't have to mess it up or mess with it later. But so all of my expenses now, January, February, March, April, are all here. And when you look at this column here, what we're looking for is the word okay. This is a formula. This is going to happen or not happen. You don't have to do anything with it. It's going to say okay, and it's going to say the month. You'll see it goes 4, 3, more threes because these aren't okay. Let me just fix this. I have to come back to this one's not working. So I'm just gonna, I like to just highlight anything I'm not sure about. Like I have, I don't know what I spent on Amazon, $128. I think I know, but so I just highlighted it so I could come back to it. So instead of not doing it, I just kind of was like, that's my method. So I'm gonna come back to that. I think, yeah, we'll just, looks like the same thing is happening for those KW invoices. But you'll see as long as there's a number of the month that you're in, so January 1, May would be 5. As long as that number is there and this word okay, that means that you've done it right. So for example, if I come down here and I've got communication and tech with my phone. Let's say instead of my phone, I labeled it as a salary. See how it says error? That's telling me, hey, you've assigned a subcategory that doesn't belong with the category, okay? You've chosen an item in the bucket that belongs to a different bucket. So that's how you know, okay, I've just got to go back. And all of these are labeled by number. So any, like this is a 6-6, so I've got to look for anything in a 6-6. And when I do that, I can simply just delete and hit 6-6 and it'll come up and it'll give me, here's the 6-6 numbers. So I could choose from phone, tech fee, office phone, websites, whatever. And this was my cell phone bill that my company pays. Now, real quick, when you look at automobile 6-7, know that this is not your personal car, right? If your car is paid for through your business, then it can go here, but it can't be your car payment. It shouldn't be your car payment that you personally own and use outside of your business, okay? At least for this purpose. The goal of this is parking when I had to show condos. So the goal of this spreadsheet is to understand what does it cost to run your business? And if we've got expenses here that really aren't truly what it costs to run your business, we don't have a true number, right? So we want to really understand with this spreadsheet, what is it, what do you need to spend every day or every month to keep the lights on and get business? So that's why it's just that automobile category is a little confusing.
So the
Okay.
the
Go ahead.
potential tax thing, that's a totally separate category to deal with. This is strictly operational budget. Da, da, da.
Great
Okay.
question. We often tell people you're going to probably have two P&Ls. The P&L that you have with your CPA or accountant is how do I lower my tax liability, right? But the one that we want here is what it cost to run your business so that we can help you make decisions on the next steps for your business or how to make it run more effectively. Deanne, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I noticed that you had Sunshine Fund in that expense column. I thought I jotted down, I have mine in below the line expenses. Does that matter?
I would just say it's a $3 thing, right? I would
Right.
say that is up to you, but just do it the same way. I put it
Okay.
under it's under like culture, like the subcategory is like team office culture. So that's why I put it
Okay.
there. Like
Okay, got
our
it.
team is doing a book club and we like if I were to get coffee at that book club, it doesn't really like I don't really need to run my business that way. So like that didn't affect my business, so that's why it could be below the line. Something like I have where I pay myself out above and beyond the salary I pay myself, and I classify that as a below the line expense. Another example, like, hey, we're out at happy hour and you want to put it through your business, but again, you don't need that to buy or sell real estate. That could be a below the line expense. So what below the line means is, let me get there. When we look at budget model, right, we've got net income. That's your profit. A below the line expense would not impact this profit. It would be deducted after that. Let's see. Most of mine are just when I transfer money to myself, to my personal account. Yeah, I think that's it. So once you dump everything in, the main charts that you're going to work off of are GCI, cost of sales, and expenses. Everything else you pretty much can ignore on these tabs. And then when you do that, it dumps everything into this chart. Now it's going to tell you like, okay, here's my GCI goal, which that means the monthly goal. And because I've got 4 months of data, I put 4 here. After May, I'll change that to 5. What will happen here is anytime you're on goal or above, just based on the percentages, it'll turn the field green. If you're below goal, or above your threshold of so let's just talk about it. Sorry, I don't want to confuse you. For income, if you've hit your monthly goal or more, it will turn this field green. Now, we all know that there's seasonality in our business. So if you've got a month where you're red and then other months where you're green, we'll just watch for patterns, okay? Really, the biggest one is what's the monthly? Like, are we hitting the goal on a monthly, like, average? Okay. Then my cost of sale goal based on where my income is. So when I'm at 250. So if we look, that's my goal. If we look at, here we go. If we look here, you'll see, so who can my goal 250, you'll see it's in the middle, right? Does anyone else have a goal that's not perfectly aligned with one of these columns? So your goal is not 150, 340, 640, right? That's okay. These are just benchmarks. Choose the one that's closest to you, right? So if your goal is 100, well, maybe we take these numbers and we shrink them down just a tad, right? If your goal is 200 or 250, you can decide which one should I go for, right? And look at these numbers, these percentages. And that's what gets carried over into these categories here in yellow. So you'll see in January, my cost of sale was really high. It should have been 26 and it was 37. But there's a story there. So we look to see, well, what story are these numbers telling us? Who can think of what might have happened in January that made my cost of sale so high? As
The
compared to
election.
April. The election? What makes you think that?
I don't know. I think
Okay.
that's right.
It wasn't the election.
Wasn't the
So
election?
remember, cost of sale is anything specifically related to an expense that's connected to a sale. You have to have a sale in order to have this expense. So I had sales in January and I had cost of sales related to that. If we remember, cost of sales are like cap, company dollar, referral, agency split, like buyer agent splits. So what do you think happened to me in January that my cost of sale was so high?
Agent splits?
A little bit of it. Kathleen?
Well, you just reset your levels for the year. So you
Yeah.
have to now hit your targets for your caps.
Yep. So my cap resets in November or December. And I think if I had had my chart here, my December was really slow. So I like paid pretty much all of my cap in January, right? I'm on a team, so my cap is a little bit lower because I have team splits. So my cap was really high, which is why I was off and a lot higher than the monthly projection. So just I show this to you to say, if we can know the story behind the numbers, that's what's important. And this chart helps tell the story. And so if you get red on yours, don't panic or think there's something totally wrong. It just might be that way, but know that it's the average that we're looking for. Okay. So if I had like 4 deals closed this month that I got referred to and I had to pay a referral fee, my cost of sale is going to be kind of high, but it'll all kind of even itself out over time. Now, if your business, like I coach some agents in other parts of the country whose businesses are very much agent to agent referral, a lot of like Florida, Arizona agents, right? People who are going there. Like, so they work in a lot of second home, a lot of people moving to that state. We've got to watch because their cost of sale, we have to plan for them to have a higher cost of sale than what that budget model might project because their business is a high cost of sale business. But it might be offset because their expenses might be lower. So you'll see if we jump down to expenses, my expenses were really high in March. Well, part of that was because I was paying off the stuff, like I was paying and reimbursing myself for the stuff that I spent at family reunion. Okay, so I had some higher education expenses because I went to a conference, and I just paid most of it in February and March. And then my net income was down in January and February a lot because of the cap and these expenses. But you see, from a month standpoint, it was much better in April. And it doesn't matter again, it matters what we're averaging. So as we just wrap up, like, what are you guys? I know this is a lot of information for new people and some repeat information for those of you guys who've been with us for a couple months now. What are you taking away from this call?
I think this is amazing. So I do plan on watching every one of those videos for sure.
Awesome.
And then just taking, like you said, my spreadsheet I've been working on and transferring it over. I think this is great.
It's okay. I'm so happy you said that. Yep. Is there anything specific that you were either surprised about or happy to find on this spreadsheet, or just something particular that you liked?
I just like how it just keeps track of your goals for you. I mean, my spreadsheet is just putting all my expenses in, like we've said, and this is
Right.
like you can look at your goals and just see where you're at, and every single day. I think that's wonderful.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you for sharing. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Who else?
I'm the same as Katie. I used to use the spreadsheet that was just expenses, so now it's giving me a clearer picture. And that can help with planning too.
Absolutely. Great point, right? When we know kind of what our income is projected to be, you could, I mean, theoretically, you could even work ahead on this chart and start adding like projected income for certain months. Like
Yeah.
on our advance call, we started talking about, hey, how do we make sure that we have a pipeline for each of those months, right? Like, do we have closings scheduled yet? Who in our pipeline do we think will fall into those months, and where do we need to fill the gap? So that's definitely a tool that you can use to project your kind of predict your business and project expenses. How about one more?
I will say that once now that I've been doing this for a little while, and it does get easier, it does help me stay focused and really feel like I'm in more control. So I think it's great. Thanks for the
Awesome.
work that you've done.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, for me, even like I noticed on my April expenses, I forgot to cancel something, right? So just the fact of doing this every month has helped me to be like, oh, I don't need to spend that for my business to run. Like, I got to cancel that. Or it helps you understand, like, ooh, I've paid a little too much in this. Like, I should make a change. So the awareness every month is awesome. So everyone is welcome to stay on as we kind of bring in the advanced group, which is just going to be a little bit more conversation around each person's spreadsheet. And then I will double check about that spreadsheet with Scott to make sure that's the most updated version. I think it is. I think we just didn't hit the 2024 thing. And then we meet every month. It's usually the second Thursday. We just moved it because of Red Day. So it'll be on the calendar in June again. So just reach out if you guys need anything. And thank you for coming.